So I want to go back to that graphic again, if we can bring that up on our Stipe graphics as well. We've got the Sensex numbers. Let's go there. It's again flat, less than even 0.5%. Forget about 0.5%. 40 points down on the Sensex, and what is it? 30 points down on the Nifty. So there's not much to write home about there. But of course, we're still waiting for the speech to begin, which will happen in less than 2 hours' time. 11 a.m. is when the finance minister will rise to present the union budget for FY26. But like I said, 0.05% on the Sensex and 0.1% on the Nifty. So it's very flat. But like I said, the markets are still open because the budget is being presented today. I guess once the speech starts at 11 a.m., you will have a live tracker of how the markets are reacting. Right now, extremely flat. But I want to come back to the point that one of our guests was making about fixed capital formation as far as the private sector is concerned. We've seen public capex go massively in a big way, and it's been a feature of the Modi government over the last 10 years. But what about gross fixed capital formation? Now, 2011-12, that's more than 10 years ago, as a percentage of GDP, it was above 30. It should be in the 31-32 range is what we are told. 34% is what it was back in 2011-12. But in 22-23, it went under 30%. It's 29% is what we're given to understand. So what explains this sort of declining trend when it comes to gross fixed capital formation? It's an indication of private investments. And why is it that private players, we keep hearing about animal spirits. Okay, now the Sensex is going back up in green territory. It's slowly climbing up, 20 points up, 15 points up. But again, like I said, relatively flat, both the indices as of this morning. We're waiting, like I said, a little less than 2 hours for the budget speech to begin. But just on that point about gross fixed capital formation and how the rise in public capex is almost inversely proportional to the declining sentiment or the declining appetite, if you will, in private sector for further investment. So let me ask both our guests, all our guests about that as well. Let me start with Mr. Garg on that. We've been hearing about this phrase, animal spirits. Why aren't we seeing that in the kind that we were expecting, at least for the last 3 or 4 years?
I think first of all, we should understand the whole context. As you rightly mentioned, that's about 30% of the capital formation which is currently taking place in the Indian economy. It is less than 35-38% it used to be earlier, but 30% of our GDP is about 110 lakh crore. The government capex is 10 lakh crores.
Yeah.
So it's about 10% of the capex, which is the central government. So sometimes we get an impression that as if only the government is doing the capex and the private sector and the household sector is not doing. That's not correct.
Okay.
Right.
But it has been declining,
so
right?
it's proportionally,
correct,
it is declining.
Proportionally, yeah.
And government capex is proportionally increasing. But that's a very low, from 6% to about 10% is where it has gone. So that's one. Now your question about why it is declining, there are two big reasons in my judgment. Number one, over the years, the great capital guzzling industries and infrastructure is reducing.
Okay.
And the share of the GDP from services and less capital consuming industries is increasing. So if you have 52% of this GDP coming from services, which requires much less kind of the capex will decline. Whereas the physical, earlier the road, rails, the manufacturing, factories that required large amount of capex. So that is not required. Second, since we're moving towards the industries of the future, let us say power sector. So the electricity production or the computers and all, they also require much less capital expenditure. To produce a solar energy or a wind energy is far less capital intensive than
traditional
the coal and the
plants.
petroleum. So don't worry about too much. There's only one element where I think we should be watching is the real estate. Because real estate is also a consumer of very large amount of capital.
Correct.
If that goes up, then it's good for economy. If that comes down, then that's bad.
Good.
And in last 10 years, if you've seen, the real estate has sort of flipped down, flipped up, gone up, and again is declining these days.
Okay.